Hello students, let us continue with our further part of the chapter A Gift of Choppals. We had seen that Mridu, Ravi and Meena all three come at the window and try to see who is there inside and from where was the sound coming. Let's begin. Mridu crept up to the window. Crept up means she moved up. Okay, and Lali was sitting a little distance away, awkwardly holding a violin and bowstring, her elbows jutting out and her eyes glazed with concentration. Okay, so here Mridu has described what was there in the room. She says that Lali, here this is Lali who is sitting there a distance away and she is awkwardly holding a violin. Okay, and this is the bowstring in her hand. Her elbows jutting out, okay, her elbows are coming out like this and her eyes were glazed, okay, brightened, shining with concentration, with a lot of attention. In front of her, with most of his back to the window, was the bony figure of the music master. So in front of her was the bony figure of a music master. Bony is because he is very thin, that's why she called him Bony. Okay, this is his music master, her music master. He had a mostly bald head, okay, without hair, bald head with a fringe of oiled black hair falling around his ears and an old-fashioned tuft. So he had a fringe. Fringe means a border, just a little bit of black hair which was oiled a lot, okay, and which was falling on his ear, and he was wearing a black tuft. A gold chain gleamed around his leathery neck. He was wearing a gold chain and a diamond ring glittered on his hand as it glided up and down the stem of the violin. So when he played the stem, this was the diamond ring which he was wearing. A large foot stuck out from the beneath his gold bordered vesti edge. Okay, so he was wearing this. This is called vesti and it was having a gold border, and from him that his one foot was out, okay, and he was beating time on the floor with the scrawny big toe. So when he was playing the music at different notes, many times he was beating his toe on the ground, on the floor. He played a few notes. Lali stumbled behind him on her violin. So the music master was playing notes and Lali, she was stumbling. Okay, stumbling means unsteadily following him behind on her violin, which looked like helpless and unhappy in her hands. Okay, so the way she was playing, it was looking like she is helpless and unhappy. Okay, what a difference. So here Ravi notices the difference in the playing of violin by the master and Lali. The music master's notes seemed to float up and settle perfectly into the invisible tracks of the melody. So the music master, his notes were perfectly fitting on the tracks of melody. He was playing very well, it seems. It was like the wheels. So he is comparing the playing of music master's violin to the wheels of a train lifting smoothly into the rails and whizzing along, as Ravi said. So Ravi had described the playing of notes of the music master to the wheels of a train. Mridu stared at that huge, bee-ringed hand moving effortlessly up the violin stem. So Mridu started staring, okay, looking at the music master who was at that huge, big, bee-ringed hand. Okay, so he was very thin and his hand was big, effortlessly up the violin stem making lovely music. So Mridu started staring at the music master. Squawk! There was Lali derailing again. Okay, so again Lali started derailing. Amma! Came a wail from the gate, and that time suddenly someone at the gate cries, okay, gives a sound. Wail means cries, gives a sound. Amma, Amma, oh Amma. Ravi sent that beggar away, cried his mother from the back veranda. So Ravi sent that beggar away. So Ravi's mother told Ravi, instructed him to send the beggar away who was crying at the back of the veranda where she was, at the gate, and his mother was sitting at the veranda where she was chatting with Tapi. So she was having a talk with Tapi, the grandmother, Mridu's grandmother who had come. He has been coming here every day for the past week, and it's time he found another house to beg from, Pati explained to Tapi. So here grandmother of Ravi explained to grandmother of Tapi, that he has been coming from many days, and now it seems that he has found another house to beg from. Mridu and Meena followed Ravi out. So Mridu and Meena follow Ravi. The beggar was already in the garden. So beggar had already entered the garden, making himself quite at home. Making himself quietly, he comes inside. He had spread his upper cloth under the neem tree and was leaning against its trunk, apparently prepared to take a little snooze while he waited for the elms to appear. So the beggar came inside and he sat under the neem tree, leaning against the trunk of the tree, and he was waiting there, and he was apparently prepared, almost prepared to take a little snooze, to take a little sleep over there by the time the elms means offering, money, whatever they are going to give him. Go away, said Ravi sternly. Ravi told him, please go away. My party says it's time you found another house to beg from. So Ravi says that my party told you that you go and find another house to beg from now. The beggar opened his eyes very wide and gazed at each of the children one by one. So the beggar started gazing the children one by one. The ladies of this house, he said, at last in a voice choked with feeling. So he started saying something about the ladies of the house, are very kind souls. I have kept my body and soul together on their generosity for a whole week. So he describes the ladies of the house and he says that they are very kind, loyal, very generous, large hearted, and they have given me lot of good things to eat and all, and I have been very kind to them for a last whole week. I cannot believe that they would turn me away, and now I cannot believe how they can send me like this away. He raised his voice. He started more loudly saying, Amma, Amma, oh, said his wail might be, but it certainly wasn't feeble. Feeble means weak. His wail, his cry was sad, but it was not weak, it was really clean and louder. It began in a deep, strong rumble somewhere in his withered belly and came booming out of his mouth with its few remaining teeth stained brown with bitter chewing. So here it is described how his sound was coming. It was really very deep, strong and rumbling. Rumble means deeply coming inside from his belly, from his stomach, and booming out from his mouth. Booming means loud voice coming out from his mouth and passing through some of the teeth which he had, and they were stained. Stained means dark, marked with brown color because he was eating bitter chewing. Since he was chewing bitter, so his teeth had stained brown. Ravi, tell him there's nothing left in the kitchen, called Rukumani. So Rukumani told Ravi, please tell him there is nothing now in the kitchen, and he is not to come again, and tell him not to come again. Tell him that. She sounded fed up. Now here sometimes we get fed up of the beggars because once we give and then they get habituated to it and again keep on coming again and again and disturb us. Ravi didn't have to repeat it all to the beggar. What his mother said had been easy for them all to hear there under the neem tree. So now Ravi didn't need to repeat what his mother was saying because the beggar could hear it very clearly. The beggar sat up and sighed. So the beggar sat there only and he was just looking. I will go, he said wearily, tiredly. Only let me have a rest here under this tree. So he said, okay, no problem, I will go, but let me have a sleep over here. The sun is so hot. The tar has melted on the road. Tar means the, what we say, the road, the material which is on the road which is made up of, okay, that has melted. My feet are already blistered. Okay, so he says that my feet has got already blistered. Blistered means the bubbles on the skin which one gets, okay, burned. He stretched out his feet to show large pink peeling blisters on the sole of his bare feet. So he showed his blisters to the children. I suppose he doesn't have the money to buy chappals, Mridu whispered to Meena and Ravi. So seeing that, Mridu said slowly, I think he is not having money to buy chappals. Have you got an old pair in the house somewhere? So Mridu told Ravi, asked Ravi, do you have any old pair in the house somewhere? I don't know, said Ravi. Mine are too small to fit his feet, or I would have given them to him. And his feet were larger than Mridu's and Meena's. So Ravi says, mine are small, it won't fit him, and even Mridu's and Meena's were larger. The beggar was shaking out his upper cloth and tightening his dhoti. He raised his eyes and looked fearfully at the road, gleaming in the afternoon heat. So the beggar, he was shaking out his upper clothes and tightening his dhoti and very sadly looking outside to the road which was really shining with the afternoon heat. He needs something on his feet, Meena said, her big eyes feeling it's not fair. So here Meena and Mridu both were feeling sad for the beggar, and they said that he really needs something on his feet. Shh, said Ravi. I'm thinking about it. Blubbering, it's not fair. Even he started saying, yeah, it's not fair, it's not fair. Isn't going to help. So he said, just saying it's not fair, it's not fair, it's not going to help. Let me think something. In 2 minutes, he will be frying his feet on that road. What he needs is a pair of chappal. So where do we get them? Come, let's search the house. He pushed Mridu and Meena into the house. So he said, let's come on, start finding the chappal somewhere in the house if we have any extra pair. And they started searching in the house, all three of them. Just as she stepped into the veranda, Mridu's eyes fell on the old looking chappal she had noticed when she arrived. So if you remember, when Mridu had come to her cousin's house, outside when she removed her slippers, she had noticed a grey color slippers which were there with dust. Okay, so she notices the same slippers again when she comes into the veranda. Ravi, she whispered to him, whose are those? So she calls Ravi and tells, whose are those? Ravi turned and glanced at the shabby looking but sturdy old slippers. So Ravi even came and he glanced. He started looking at those slippers and asked him, whose slippers are these? These are really sturdy. Sturdy means strong, okay? He beamed and nodded. He started looking and nodded. These are just the right size, he said, picking them up. So he picked them up and said, yeah, these are of right size. This can fit the beggar. Mridu and Meena followed him nervously back into the garden. So Mridu and Meena both followed him into the garden. Here, said Ravi to the beggar, dropping the slippers in front of the old man. So Ravi gives those slippers to the old man. Wear this and don't come back. The beggar stared at the slippers, hurriedly flung his towel over his shoulder, pushed his feet into them and left muttering a blessing to the children. So the beggar hurriedly, he got up, he put his towel on his shoulder and he wore the slippers and he went away giving a blessing to the children. In a minute he had vanished around the corner of the street. So in a minute he got vanished. Vanished means disappeared from the corner of the street. Now the music master came out of the house and took an unappreciative look at the three of them sitting quietly under the tree. So now these three, Ravi, Meena and Mridu, they were sitting under the tree, and the music master comes out and very disapprovingly he gives a look at those three playing marbles. So they were playing marble. Then he searched for his chappals in the veranda where he had put them. and here he starts searching for the chappals in the veranda where he had put them. So now you can get to know whose slippers were they. They were of the music master. Now we will see in our further part. Let's see what response the music master gives when he will come to know that his slippers were given to the beggar.